What did they try to erase in Montclair, Asbury Park, and Bridgeton? You ever notice how some towns in Jersey brag about diversity now, but never tell you how that diversity had to fight to exist in the first place? Let's take a ride. Montclair, Asbury Park, and Bridgeton. 3 towns, 3 stories, 1 pattern. They loved black culture, they just didn't love black people owning it. Montclair. The progressive illusion. Montclair loves to call itself woke, but back in the early 1900s, woke was just the sound of the police waking black folks up to say, "You don't belong on this side of town." See, while Montclair bragged about integration, they hid segregation behind zoning laws. Upper Montclair was built for the rich and white. South End? That's where the black community got boxed in. With red lines so thick, even the banks refused to cross them. Black teachers, postal workers, and veterans lived there, but they couldn't buy homes where they worked. Meanwhile, white families praised Montclair's progress, while quietly signing deeds that banned selling to colored families. But here's where the roast turns to joy. Montclair's South End birthed its own legends. Black-owned barber shops, jazz clubs, churches, and the Montclair Urban League became the heartbeat of black success. They built community out of confinement. Today, when people talk about old Montclair money, just remember, black folks helped circulate that money long before they were allowed to bank it. Asbury Park, the boardwalk they tried to take. Now, slide down to Asbury Park, where the music was black, the magic was black, and the money never stayed in the black side of town. In the 1940s and 50s, Springwood Avenue was called the Harlem of the Jersey Shore. It had clubs where legends like Count Basie and Billie Holiday tore the roof off every weekend. But the city had a problem. They loved the sound, but not the skin. Urban renewal hit Asbury like a wrecking ball in the 1970s. The city bulldozed the west side, black homes, black businesses, black culture, to build parking lots and tourist hotels that never even got finished. And when the fires came in 1970, protests turned to riots because people were done watching their heritage turned into dust. The boardwalk stayed bright. Springwood got erased. But guess what? The spirit never died. Now, younger generations are reopening those same blocks with art galleries, murals, and music festivals that reclaim what was stolen. That's not a comeback. That's a resurrection. Asbury tried to take the sound from the people, but the people became the sound. Bridgeton, the city that fed the state but starved its own. And then there's Bridgeton, a place that fed half of New Jersey but kept its black and brown workers hungry. For over a century, Bridgeton's farms and canneries depended on black labor and later Puerto Rican migrants. But while the food they harvested crossed the state, their kids couldn't even cross into better schools. Black workers built the backbone of Cumberland County's economy, picking, canning, hauling, but got paid pennies and housed in shacks called labor camps. It was Jim Crow wearing overalls. When the factories closed, white flight emptied downtown, and Bridgeton was left holding the bill for the wealth it helped create. Yet even through that, the community rebuilt. Churches became organizing hubs, youth centers replaced canneries, and local activists started programs teaching urban farming and entrepreneurship, feeding themselves on their own terms. That's the kind of full-circle history they never teach. Because Bridgeton didn't just survive, it reclaimed the soil. Montclair built its fences. Asbury burned its soul. Bridgeton buried its sweat. But we still out here, rebuilding, singing, growing, and remembering. They tried to write our people out of their postcards, but you can't edit out endurance. You can't zone out pride. And you damn sure can't bulldoze legacy. Say their names, say the towns. Because these stories aren't tragedies. They're proof that even when the system plays chess, black Jersey still makes checkmate moves. Receipts. Montclair, HOLC redlining maps, 1930s, mark South End as hazardous Negro area. Asbury Park, 1970, Springwood Avenue uprisings, redevelopment records show 1,300 displaced black residents. Bridgeton, 1950s, 1980s agricultural labor archives document racially segregated worker camps and pay disparities. Sources: NJ State Archives, Rutgers Oral History Project, Asbury Park Historical Society. If you're from Jersey and this hit home, follow for more truth they buried under redevelopment. Signs. Comment still standing. If your family's roots run deep in this state's hidden soil.